everyone. We would be talking about IAM groups and policies in this video. So, when you create an IAM user, right, by default the user will not have any permissions. Only when we assign a policy to that particular user, he would get permissions and he would be able to access any AWS services. So let's see what that is. So we are going to IAM and we are going to users and we are going to create a user. So let this be test user 1, and this I'm going to give him a normal username and password mechanism to authenticate, and I'm just unchecking this option because I don't want to change my password the next time I log in. So next I'm going to give him permissions. So only if I give him any permissions, he would be able to access the AWS services. We have different services like AWS S3, AWS IAM, AWS EC2 and everything. So we have to decide what kind of policy that we are going to give to the user. So what we can do is we can directly add him to a group and give him a access, or we can attach existing policies directly. So let's see about attaching existing policies directly. And if I want to make him the administrator of the account, I have to give him this administrator access. Okay. And what I'll do next, I'll go ahead and add tags. So I'll ignore tags for now. Next I'm going to review and create user. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open a private window and I'll try to log in using the user that I created. So I'm going to choose IAM user account. My alias name is Jaffer, and again the username is the user that I created is test user, I believe. Let me check once. Test user 1, and let me give his password as well. So I've signed in, and as you could see on the top right corner, my username is test user 1. And now what I'll do, I'll go ahead and I'll try to access any of the services. Let's try IAM service itself. So I'm able to access the IAM service, I'm able to see all the users available and everything. So now let's try to go to S3, which is a drive service from Amazon. Let me see this. And yes, so I'm able to see the buckets that are present. I'm able to see the files as well. So now let's see how this test user 1 has been given access to all these services. Again, we saw, right, it's using the policy that we added. So let's go to test user 1, and he has been given the permission administrator access, and this policy is assigned. That's why he is able to view or edit multiple services in AWS. So these policies are nothing but JSON documents. So let's see the document structure, and it's gonna be in JSON. So it would be something like this: effect is allow, action is star, and resources star. So either there are a lot of policies that are given by AWS itself by default. So for example, if you click on add permissions, right, and here you see, right, there are a lot of policies that are given by Amazon itself. But still, if you want to create any new policy yourself, so what you have to do is you have to understand the format of how these policies are created in AWS. So we'll go ahead and see the policy structure. So the policies would look something like this. The first one is something called as version. It is a policy language version, and it would always be 2012 10 17. So you could just copy paste this and use it itself. And the next one is the important part, which is the statement. So in the statement, what we defines the access of the user who is going to log in to the AWS account. So first one that you can see here is SID. So it's just a service identifier. You can give it any value just for identification purposes, and this is optional as well. And the next one is effect. Effect should be either allow or it could be deny. Okay, so either the if the below conditions meets, you can allow that particular operation. If the below condition meets, you can deny that particular operation. So that is what effect means. Principal, so principal is the account ID. So we can give even other accounts access to our AWS account. So we can give account ID. If you are going to give access to everyone, you can put a star over there. So the next one is action. So when we go to action, right, it varies depending upon the services. For example, if we take IAM service itself, IAM service, we have permission to create user, we have permissions to delete user, so we have permissions to list user, and there are a lot of activities that we can do in like IAM itself, right? So action, what we trigger is, so first we give the service name. For example, here it says we can give IAM and then colon, what is the operation that you're going to do, IAM colon get users, so it will list all the users. So IAM colon create user, so the policy will give the user who has logged in to create other users as well. And IAM colon delete user, that particular user who has logged in can delete any other user that is currently present in our AWS environment. And if you want to give that particular user all permissions, you just give it a star value here. Okay, and next one is the resource. So resource is something, but you can give it here we've taken S3 as an example. So S3 is something like a storage place where we can create multiple folders which are called buckets and save multiple files into it. So either you can give access to the entire bucket or you can give access to the files. So that is what is present here. So S3, I'm giving access for this S3 resource, and in that S3 resource I am going to give access to my bucket, which is the folder that I created in my AWS S3 service. Okay, and the next one is inside the bucket, and I can give access to all the files that is present in the bucket as well. So that is where I am telling that S3 is the service that I'm going to access, and under this service I need access to this bucket, which is my bucket, and under that I need access to all the files that are present inside the bucket. So this is how the policy structure would be. Okay, so now after we understood what the entire policy structure is, we'll move ahead to group and group inheritance. So first we'll assume that we have three groups. One is admin, the other one is storage, and the other one is audit. And admin group has full access. So this group will give the users access to do anything and everything in AWS. And there is a storage team who has S3 full access. So he'll be able to upload files into S3, delete files in S3, and he'll be having all the access. And the next one is audit team. So audit team would be again performing only audit related operations, right? So I'm just giving them a read-only access. So now what is the scenario? We are going to add a user green into our admin group. So now the user green will have full access to go through all the AWS services and perform multiple operations. And now I'm adding a blue user to our S3 storage service. Okay, so the username blue can access all the S3 operations. He can access the S3 files, he can delete create files, but if this guy tries to access any other service apart from S3, he'll not be given any permission. He would be given an error that is permission denied. And the next one is our audit team, and I'm giving them IAM read-only access, and in that I'm going to add a yellow user. So just username is yellow, that's what I meant. And this user, he'll be able to see what are all the contents or what are all the users and groups present in IAM. But when he tries to create a user or modify a user's permission, right, then that is when he'll be getting a permission denied error, because we have given him only read-only access to view everything. Okay, and we are having another user called as black, and we are adding him to storage as well as audit group. So one user can be added to multiple groups. And this black user, now what all access he'll have? He'll have S3 full access to delete files, edit files, upload files, everything, and also he'll have IAM read-only access as well. So this is what inheritance is. So depending upon our users, how we are adding them to the groups, they'll get access to AWS services.